Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, text 142, chapter 6 entitled The Liberation of Sarvam Bhattacharya. Ya ya shrutir jalpati nirvishesham sa sa abhidhitte savisheshameva vichara yoge sati hantatasam prayo baleya savisheshameva. So here this discussion between Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sarvam Bhattacharya is going on, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is talking about how the Mukhyavritti should be used for understanding the Vedanta Sutra, and what the import of the Vedanta Sutra is they are discussing. So, he said in the previous text that wherever the Absolute Truth is referred to as Nirguna, that refers to his being beyond the modes, not being devoid of qualities. That thread of reasoning Krishna is, Lord Chaitanya is continuing over here. Yaya Shrutibir Jalpati Nirvishesham. Whichever Shruti is Jalpati, this seem to say that Nirvishesham, that the Absolute Truth is impersonal. Sasa Abhidhatte, those same very Shrutis will see that they manifest, reveal a personal understanding, Vichara Yoge, if one studies them deeply. And Vishesham, the verse concludes by saying that actually if we see in the world there is variety everywhere. So, the Vedas and indeed the Vedic literature in general have a progressive master plan for elevating souls, and that master plan centers on recognizing that the absolute truth in the highest manifestation is a person. Just like there is a y-axis which moves from the negative point to 0 to the positive point. So like that, Krishna, like that, the revelation of the absolute truth, the message that is given in the Vedic literature, it moves from the negative axis through the 0 point to the positive. So the negative axis refers to material reality, because in material reality, everything ultimately causes bondage and suffering. And we move from the material reality towards the 0 point, which is the point of illusion, or rather the point of negation, not illusion, a negation of the material. So forms, qualities, activities, emotions, relationships, these are negated, and by that negation one feels that one is free from bondage. Now that negation is not the culmination. The negation is the stepping stone, is the transition to the affirmation, the affirmation of the positive spiritual reality. And that positive spiritual reality centers on Krishna. Apanipado Javano Grahita. As we discussed several verses to discuss earlier, this theme will come again. So, even when, if we look at the progression of the Upanishad also, though there may be no specific attribute described initially, of course in initial verses also, Tane jati tannai, tade jati tannai jati, taddure tadvantike, tade jati tannai jati. It said that walks and he does not walk. So it's an attribute associated with the form, to walk. And although it's complemented immediately by saying he does not walk, but still the point that he walks is mentioned in the scripture. And then As the Upanishad moves on, then it states further that हिरण्मयेन पात्रेण सत्यस्यापि हितं मुखं तत्त्वं पोषणपावनं सत्यधर्माय दृष्टये. At Satyadharmaya, I want to understand your true nature. And what is that true nature? Mukham, apavrunu. Please unveil your face so that I can see you, O absolute truth. So, the idea of a face, it's a very personal attribute. And the further point, a very emphatic point is, please remove the dazzling effulgence that obscures your face. In the impersonal conception, the dazzling effulgence itself is the highest truth. There is nothing beyond the effulgence for one to see. So when the Upanishad, by its progression, talks about seeing the face that is covered by a dazzling effulgence, that's an extraordinary assertion. And that assertion indicates that there is a personal absolute truth which is higher, that means the yogi seeker has come to the level of the perception of the dazzling effulgence of the impersonal manifestation of the absolute truth, and after that, now that is itself considered the perfection by impersonalists. And some impersonalists may temporarily conceive a form as a convenient meditation tool to rise from the lower modes till one comes to goodness, and then to go beyond that form and realize the oneness of oneself with the absolute truth. So, rather than supporting such a progression, this verse states that after one has perceived the impersonal effulgence, then one needs to meditate, one needs to pray to some higher being so that one can perceive the true face. So there are several ways in which this verse counters the impersonal misconception. Firstly, by stating that there is something beyond the impersonal effulgence. Secondly, that it has a face. And thirdly, one needs to pray for the grace of that person who has that face so that one can see it. That means, rather than talking about impersonalism as trans-devotional, which is what impersonalists talk about, this verse states that actually devotion is trans-Brahman. And through that one example of progression, we can understand how even in the Shrutis there is a progression. Even if there are some impersonal references initially, those impersonal references soon give way to a personal reference and to a personal conclusion, and that personal understanding is the higher understanding. Baliya savisheshameva prayo baliya. Baliya is much stronger. It is the personal understanding is the stronger understanding, because it is the conclusive understanding. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this way is reconciling these apparent contradiction between the personalist and the impersonal statements in the Shruti scriptures. He says there is a progression whose culmination is in personalism. And therefore it is the personal understanding which is the highest, and that is the understanding which is given by the Vedanta Sutra and which should be revealed by any commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. And how that personal understanding is the highest, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will, over the future verses, explain as well as demonstrate by giving his own personal darshan of a very special, majestic divine form to Sarva Bhattacharya, and thereby Sarvabhauma will be converted. Thank you.